Hello everyone, and thanks for tuning in to today's AVARigs. Today we're going to be talking about this 10th gen Intel system built inside of this white Meshify C. Now let's get into it. So as you guys can see, this system is fairly simple in terms of the assembly on the inside. You know, there's nothing too terribly over the top as far as aesthetics go, just some basic RGB memory, a Kraken X63 cooler, which is a phenomenal cooler. And then we have this interesting piece here, this 1080 Ti. Now, as some of you may know, this is older hardware. If rumors are to be believed, then this pretty soon will be 2 generations old. So it's definitely an older GPU. Now there's a reason for that. This is kind of a perfect example of what one of our Barebones systems can do for you. So this customer ordered the system with the intention of getting a 2080 Ti. However, ran into some snags, you know, nothing too major, but he wanted the system ASAP. So he decided that we'd switch it to a barebone configuration and he would install his own GPU, and that's what he did. He was local. He decided to drop it off to us to save himself some time. We installed it for him. But this is kind of a great example of what Barebones can do for you. You can order systems from us that we will assemble with components missing. So if you have your own graphics card or your own storage or even your own CPU, your own whatever you may want to install into it, you can order the system without that component and then just install it yourself and kind of do a little bit of assembly on your end, but just build it the way you like it and, you know, reuse old components so that you're not having to spend extra money on something that you may not necessarily need. Now, this system at its core is powered by an i9-10900K, which is a 10-core chip from Intel. It's the latest and greatest offering that they have. It definitely is a phenomenal chip, and it definitely keeps up with AMD's latest offerings, and they kind of go toe-to-toe on that. So it really all depends on the feature set you want, and you know what programs and games are really optimized to utilize which hardware, but it's definitely a good choice to go with if you're looking at the Intel side of things. Now, as I mentioned earlier, it is cooled by a Kraken X63. This is also one of the latest and greatest coolers from NZXT. Again, not going to have any trouble keeping up with this CPU. It is going to keep it cool, and you are never ever going to run into heat issues with this cooler. Now, as we mentioned earlier, it does have the 1080 Ti. While it is an older card, it is still an admirable card in terms of performance. It will still play games at 4K, no problems, no questions asked. You throw anything at it, it'll spit it right back out at you on a monitor at, you know, 60 FPS, 4K. Now, the motherboard in here is a Strix Z490G gaming Wi-Fi from ASUS. Now, ASUS is known in the industry for having some pretty high-end components at some pretty reasonable prices, and this board is no exception, retailing in at $239. This board comes with a full feature set, everything you may need out of this board. It has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, it has USB ports, you know, so you can connect all your peripherals up to it, no problem. It's got additional headers for more expansion if you need to. So you can't go wrong with the board. It's definitely a great choice to have. Now, the memory inside the system is a set of Corsair Dominator, I forgot the capacity. Now, the memory in here is 32 gigs of Corsair Dominator Platinum clocked at 4,000 megahertz, which is a pretty high clock speed, even for these days. You know, you're starting to see more and more memory come out of these higher and higher clock speeds, but not too many people are actually buying it. You don't really need it. However, it does help out in a lot of workstation tasks, which I believe this customer is actually going to be partially using the PC for outside of gaming. So it's kind of a mixed system. You know, it has multiple uses, and there's a lot of different things you can do with something of this caliber. You know, you shouldn't just limit yourself to one specific task. If you want a PC for everything, you know, this is definitely a good choice to go with. And now the storage side of things on this is pretty good. It's got a 2 terabyte 970 EVO Plus from Samsung, which is a phenomenal drive. You're gonna have great read and write speeds. You're not gonna have the same performance as something like a PCI Express 4.0 SSD, but it's still gonna be pretty great. I mean, now another thing you may notice inside of this system are these Be Quiet fans. You can't really see them in the top, but you can kind of see them in the back. This customer wanted a little bit of silence out of their system, and Be Quiet, as their name implies, makes very, very silent fans. So if you want something that's silence oriented, definitely go with Be Quiet fans. You can't go wrong with them. So anyways, that's going to do it for this week's AVARigs. If you want a system kind of similar to this one, we are going to be running a special starting tomorrow, August 15th, running all the way through September 15th on free shipping on select 10th gen Intel systems. So if you want to configure something similar to this, or, you know, maybe something completely different with a 10th gen Intel CPU, feel free to reach out to our sales team at the email in the description below or the phone number in the description below. Anyways, thanks for watching and have a great week.
If you'd like to have the PC in this video, or need help building one that's right for you, please visit the link in this description. You can choose from one of our pre-built gaming or workstation systems, or use our simple configurator to design one to meet your unique needs. Click thumbs up and subscribe if you liked this video, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for even more, @AVADirect.